Hello and welcome to this week's edition of This Week in Agriculture, a presentation of the Communications Unit, Ministry of Agriculture. I'm your producer and host, Christopher Holder. On this week's presentation, we feature the activities of Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa this past week. And of course, we will bring to you a feature that focuses on something called the PICSA approach, a program in which farmers are taught how to use the tools available on the Hydromet website, hydromet.gov.gy, to farm with the weather in mind. So Hydromet has been providing training to farmers all across the country, and well, they've been practicing smart agriculture, and it has been getting them lots and lots of benefits, as we'll hear in the feature on this week's edition of This Week in Agriculture.
Guyana's rice farmers are set to cultivate the largest crop of rice since 2021's first crop, with GRDB projecting a record 220,000 acres to be cultivated for the second crop this year. The GRDB is, however, urging farmers to stop the use of Pronto, a risk jeopardizing Guyana's lucrative EU markets. To this end, the GRDB has rolled out a countrywide awareness program to inform farmers of same and the measures that need to be taken at the farm level to allow for continued exports to the EU market. The Guyana Rice Development Board, GRDB, is assuring rice farmers that viable alternatives to Pronto remain available to them for use against the paddy bug in the upcoming crop this year. These are Caprid, Tengard, Abamectin, Fastac, Bestac, etc. The Guyana Millers and Exporters Development Association, GRMIDA, has also joined in urging farmers not to use Pronto for paddy bug control in the upcoming crop. Extension officers of the board will continue their training exercises with farmers throughout the country and provide all necessary support in moving the industry forward. A message from the GRDB, Ministry of Agriculture.
Guyana's agriculture sector is on the rise, with government set to spend close to $40 billion on infrastructure development and support for the nation's farmers this year. Guyana now leads the CARICOM region's Vision 25 by 2025, that is, reducing the region's food import bill by 25% by the year 2025. That's less than 2 years away. The scope for wealth generation for the nation's farmers and stakeholders has never been more evident. Now is the time to get involved in this agriculture revolution. To this end, Guyana's premier educational entity dedicated to training youths in a range of agriculture-based disciplines is inviting applications for the new academic year beginning September this year. Established some 60 years ago, the Guyana School of Agriculture, GSA, offers a range of certificate and diploma courses in general agriculture, as well as specialist courses such as forestry, animal health and veterinary public health, fishery studies, and agro-processing. Students interested in pursuing studies at the Guyana School of Agriculture can visit the GSA's application portal at www.gsapplicationsgy.com. Application forms can be uplifted from the Monrepo East Coast Demerara headquarters or from the Essequibo campus. Closing date for applications is July 31, 2023. Applicants for all programs must be at least 17 years old. For more information on entry requirements, visit the GSA's Facebook page or call 592-220-8958.
We begin this week's edition of This Week in Agriculture by telling you about an engagement between Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa and a team of officials from the Center for Agriculture and Biosciences International, CABI, at his Regent Street office. The CABI is a non-profit, intergovernmental development and information organization focusing primarily on agricultural and environmental issues in the developing world, and the creation, curation, and dissemination of scientific knowledge. The organization engages in a variety of projects that addresses agricultural and environmental issues worldwide. Typically, these focus on commodity crops, invasive species, and scientific communication. Guyana is one of the founding members of CABI and benefits from inputs to CABI research initiatives and access to CABI's pest risk analysis tool via the Crop Protection Compendium by national plant protection organizations, among others.
Later in the week, Minister Mustafa engaged with a group of farmers who reside in the Trafalgar Union area on the west coast of Berbice, members of the Trafalgar Union Community Development Council, CDC. The group met with the minister at his Regent Street office to seek the intervention of government to reclaim lands they said were illegally taken from them. A previous meeting had been held by the group with Minister Mustafa and Minister of Public Service Sonia Parak to discuss some of the issues they faced, the most urgent being the land issue. They had also met with Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo on the issue as well. At this latest meeting, Minister Mustafa indicated that his ministry would have to engage with the Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Honorable Anil Nandalal, as the issue was a legal one that will have to be dealt with through the courts. He also addressed the other issues raised by the group and promised a number of interventions. Specifically, in this new week, a team from the Fisheries Department will visit the community to examine the site they have proposed as being suitable for the start of aquaculture operations. Help was also promised in the form of support for all forms of agriculture endeavors in their communities. Over the last 2 years, the Ministry of Agriculture has been promoting the practice of climate-smart agriculture, that is, planning farming and other agriculture activities with the weather in mind. The Hydromet Service of the Ministry of Agriculture is the agency of the ministry that is spearheading this initiative, and it has developed a number of tools for use by farmers through its website hydromet.gov.gy. One of these tools is what is referred to as the PICSA approach. In the following presentation, you will learn about what this initiative is about and how it has impacted the agriculture activities of its beneficiaries.
Best laid plans and all. For this farmer, his day on the farm is ruined. He was up at the crack of dawn with a plan to treat his plants against an attack by insects that could result in him losing the crop. But out of the blue, the skies opened up and poured ruin on his planned interventions. But was the rainfall just out of the blue? It certainly wasn't. If he had checked the weather forecast in all of its forms as provided online by the Hydrometeorological Service of the Ministry of Agriculture, he would have been aware that rain was most likely to fall in the early hours of that particular morning. Guyana's farmers across the country now have unrestricted access to the tools that enable the practice of climate-smart agriculture through the use of those tools available to them online at hydromet.gov.gy. Climate Smart Agriculture, or CSA, is a globally accepted approach that helps to guide actions needed to transform and reorient agriculture systems to effectively support development and ensure food security in a changing climate. At the local level, farmers are being encouraged to practice agriculture with the weather in mind. When are the rains expected? What time of the year will there be the longest periods of sunlight that aids in the reproductive stages of rice, for instance? To this end, the Hydromet website has been developed to cater for CSA at the level of our farmers. The website features the seasonal climate forecast for up to 3 months, but also for shorter periods, like daily and 3-day forecasts, providing farmers with information such as amount of rainfall, areas most likely to experience rainfall, average humidity, etc. A key feature of the website is under the heading Agromet, managed by the Hydromet Services Agriculture Meteorology Department. Its staff work with stakeholders of the sector in tailoring products based on weather and climate information. Among the products available to farmers to help them in forward planning with the climate in mind is the Farmer's Weather Bulletin and the Drought Monitoring Bulletin. Over the last year, the Hydromet Service has been working closely with the United Nations Development Programme on a project dubbed Strengthening Disaster Management Capacity of Women in Guyana and Dominica. A critical part of this project is an initiative being referred to as the PICSA approach, or Participatory Integrated Climate Services for Agriculture. The intention is to roll out PICSA in all regions of Guyana. Thus far, the initiative has been taken to 8 of our 10 administrative regions. The Participatory Integrated Climate Services for Agriculture (PICSA) approach aims to facilitate farmers to make informed decisions based on accurate, location-specific climate and weather information, locally relevant crop, livestock, and livelihood options, with the use of participatory tools to aid their decision-making. The PICSA approach is divided into 12 steps to be carried out with groups of farmers, with consideration of 4 time periods. This allows agricultural actors to plan for agronomic activities. Mr. Dwayne Lanferman of the Hydromet's Agromet department has been working with farmers in target regions. He explained the PICSA concept and says the various tools being provided by the service through its website and direct interaction with Guyana's farmers have been making an impact on their production efforts. This is especially so in all regions, except regions 2 and 10, where the program is yet to be rolled out.
As we are aware, the effects of weather and climate cripple our farmers' agricultural production. In helping them better understand climate, the Participatory Integrated Climate Services for Agriculture approach was developed, PICSA for short. PICSA aims to help farmers make informed decisions as it relates to their agricultural practices. PICSA places the farmer at the center and helps them understand or address issues with weather and climate by communicating historical climate information as well as seasonal and short-range forecasts in a way that is relevant and useful to the farmers. Secondly, by exploring crop livelihood options that are available to the farmers to help them address weather and climate-related challenges. And thirdly, using participatory making decision tools to assist the farmer make informed decisions when they're planning their farming activities. All of these are carried out through 4 seasons, long before the season, just before the season, during the season, and after the season. Each highlights the support the farmer gets, ensuring that his crops and livestock and livelihood are called into focus. Additionally, there's even a participatory budget, which is a tool that helps the farmer evaluate his or her finances, addressing the profit and loss dynamic, which outlines the feasibility of their venture presented under their circumstances. PICSA thus far has been rolled out in regions 9, 7, 4, 8, and 3. Under the Hinterland Development Project, we're currently in Region 1, bringing PICSA to Smith Creek, Imbatero, Whitewater, Wauna, and St. Dominic. PICSA was designed to be inclusive to the farmer's needs, as well as in a simplistic way integrate weather and climate information from the Met Office. It teaches the farmer to interpret the forecasts and advisories, as well to utilize the products from the Met Office, such as the seasonal outlook and the farmer's monthly bulletin. Due to the changes and variability in climate, PICSA has become more and more relevant, since many farmers depend on the weather for the growth of their crop. With that, I would like to share some key takeaways. PICSA is farmer-centered. The farmer's context will vary from farm to farm. PICSA is easy to use. PICSA helps the farmer to plan activities with the weather in mind. PICSA integrates all of the agencies in the ministry, such as National Agriculture Research and Extension Institute, NARI, the Guyana Livestock Development Authority, GLDA, the Guyana Rice Development Board, GRDB, and the New Guyana Marketing Corporation, GMC. PICSA additionally addresses the needs of the farmers. With that said, our goal at the Hydromet service is to broaden our support to farmers in all regions of Guyana, ensuring that they are equipped to address the changes and variations in our weather.
So how is the program being introduced to farmers of the various communities across the country? Teams from the Agromet department at the Hydromet service of the Ministry of Agriculture, in association with other agencies of the Ministry of Agriculture, travel to the target communities where training sessions are held with farmers from within those communities as well as from surrounding areas. The training lasts approximately 3 days and also includes a farm visit. This allows the trainers to see firsthand the activities of the farmers and advise how the farmer can maximize productivity on the particular farm. The most recent PICSA training program was rolled out in Region 1. So what are the farmers taught during these training sessions? Ms. Janisa Messiah is one of the Hydromet's PICSA trainers. She shared with us one aspect of the training.
The Resource Allocation Map, also known as a RAM, is a participatory mapping tool that describes the main livelihood activities of a household, including the farming activities. This approach enables the farmer and extension officers to understand the household's main uses and production of resources and how these may be affected by weather and climate. It takes into consideration the amount of persons in the household, their gender and ages. This information is taken to find out if the household helps with farming activities. Some other information taken are crops planted and livestock reared, if any. The seasonal calendar. The seasonal calendar is another participatory tool used to explore the farmer timings of main farming activity, whether it be crop, livestock, or livelihood that they carry out on their farms. It allows the farmer to understand how these activities may be affected by weather and climate and how extra information about weather and climate could help them. Also, it helps them to make climate-smart decisions. It also gives them an idea of how they can plan for the next season.
Another area of training is what is referred to as the matrix, explained by AgriMet team member Ms. Lisa Ann Peters.
Some of the other contents of the training course includes tools like the matrix. The matrix is divided into three main parts: the crop matrix, the livestock matrix, and the livelihood matrix. These are used to see what options the farmers have available. So we consider things like the practice, who would do it, whether it be male or female in the household, who would benefit from it, the performance of these activities in high, medium, and low rainfall, the investment in terms of time and in terms of money, because time is money and money is time. Also, the time start of benefits. We want to know what risks and disadvantages are associated with each of these practices. And by comparing these, the farmer can then do something we call a participatory budget. This budget would allow us to know how feasible an activity is. We then take every single thing that we did in the matrix and we compare them. We want to know things like what activity we're doing, what the inputs would be in terms of money. How much money are we investing into this activity? Who would be doing this work? Will the family be doing the labor, or do we then hire persons to do the labor? Can we afford to pay persons to do the labor? We consider things like what outputs are coming off from this farm and if any produce are being consumed. Locally, some farmers, they would use some of the things that they plant, they would distribute it to their neighbors, share with family, and then some persons just do it mainly for the market. So we want to have an idea of where your produce is going after it's harvested. And then we consider the cash balance, whether it's negative or positive. This is where we want to know how much money are you investing every month. Are you having any returns from the farmers yet? And when you do get the general results from the farm, we minus all the expenses so that we can help them to develop a plan where they know whether or not they're making a profit.
Later on, during a farm visit to farmlands at Arukamai, the team found a farm that was the typical slash-and-burn operation as is common to hinterland communities. That is, a spot of the jungle that is cleared and the bush is burnt. Then vine crops, cash, and root crops are planted. But as is the case in this farm, there was no organization of the farm layout. Pak choy was laid down next to pumpkin, and nearby was some ginger, etc. The field visit allowed for the team to share with the farmers the importance of putting into practice what was shared with them during the in-house training exercise.
This aspect of the PICSA training is where we take a visit to the farmlands of some of the farmers that were part of the training session, the 2 days training session that is, and we check to see what it is that they're farming, where they're farming, and some of the practices that they're implementing on their farms. We also work with extension staff, and they in turn would give advice to these farmers and tell them where it is they're going wrong if they are, and some practices that they can implement to increase their agricultural production. What crops can go together and also what crops should not be growing together. Some recommended crops for the upcoming season.
A key partner in the rollout of the PICSA initiative is the World University Science of Canada, WUSC, a Canadian non-profit organization working on the Sustainable Agriculture in the Caribbean SAC project that includes inclusive market systems. Ms. Joanna Robertson is the Climate Smart Agriculture Officer on the SAC project and explained the importance of farmers understanding the concept of inclusive market systems.
Well, the market systems approach is it's something that is very practical in terms of our work and how we roll out and implement our activities. the Sustainable Agriculture in the Caribbean project will not be here forever. We are just here to improve on the supporting organizations such as NARI, Hydromet, GLDA, how it is that we can increase their capacity, improve their capacity so that they can, better deliver training to extension officers, so on and so forth. So that may come in terms of training, it may be tangible support, it may be also, leveraging, helping each other to leverage each other's resources and capacity and so on. So that is what the SAF project seeks to do.
The PICSA approach also involves training of extension officers of the various agencies of the Ministry of Agriculture to better understand the tools that are available to farmers through the Hydromet service and how those tools can better enable a farmer to include weather information in their farm management program. Ms. Ernestine Sandy is a District Crop Extension Officer attached to the National Agriculture Research and Extension Institute, NARI. She is a beneficiary of the PICSA training and is working with farmers of the West Bank of Demerara.
When I started off here, explaining the weather forecast to farmers, I never used to do that, but after I would have had the training with Hydromet, it becomes a normal thing for me. I have 4 farmers group on WhatsApp, and I would usually send the weather forecast to them on a daily basis. That would be when Devin sent it to the group. It also helped me in ways that now that farmers know that I'm exposed to the information, they will call me almost every day because I'm dealing with over 800 farmers in Canal Number 1. So they will call and ask me, Sandy, can I spray now? Is it okay for me to spray now? Is it okay for me to transplant and stuff like that? So I find with the Hydromet training, it helps me a lot to interact with the farmer when it comes to weather forecast, and it helps me in my work as well to be more effective.
Also undergoing training in the PICSA initiative was Ms. Nadine Gopal, an extension officer of the Guyana Livestock Development Authority.
So I use the website and the information that Devin sends every morning to better tell them when to implement certain agriculture activities, such as when to plant or how to hold off spraying and so on. I use mostly the seasonal calendar to synchronize the breeding and pasture management so that we could have birds in the dry season where you need it.
So if there's rain coming up, what would you tell them to do?
Okay, so for that I encourage them to have breeding being done in the rainy season, or the planting of the pasture, the renewing of the seeds on the...
The rollout of the PICSA approach across Guyana has been welcomed by the nation's farmers, many of whom have participated in the training programs and incorporated what they have learned into their farm management practices, are reporting satisfaction of the results. Ms. Doreen Fraser is the chairperson of the Community Development Group in her community of St. Dominic's in Region 1. She was a participant in the most recent PICSA training session in that region.
Well, due to the weather, what we're learning here now would able to give us better ideas with the weather and planting our ginger, yam, cassava, potato and so on. We would able to know exactly how to follow the weather pattern to plant.
In Region 3, Miss Maxine Rose, who is a cattle farmer and participated in the training, says the knowledge she has gained through the program has already been bringing better outcomes on her farm management practices.
Because of the weather forecast, it has done a great lot for me because I clean out the drainage around my cow pens, channel it out to the main canal, so that with this rainfall now, it will just wash everything out. I don't put the mold to be washed down. I have a compost. All right. I bought some construction plastic. So whenever the night comes, in the day you could look at the weather pattern, but in the night, I would cover it. I had some drying, and it was actually dried, so I pick it up, bag it off, put it under a shed, right? And it's the weather forecast, just be so accurate. That is why I bought the construction plastic. so we won't have this mold getting wet and running all over the place.
The nation's farmers in all the regions that have had the PICSA program rolled out have all welcomed the initiative and, for the most part, are utilizing the tools available to them on the Hydromet website, hydromet.gov.gy. PICSA team member Mr. Dirk Critchlow has seen the impact of PICSA firsthand and shared his impressions with us.
Most farmers would have welcomed the PICSA initiative and also expressed their gratitude and appreciation since they are now able to incorporate weather and climate information in their daily farming practices. Because of the fact that most farmers rely on the traditional way of farming or the traditional methods of farming, the PICSA approach helps farmers to understand how is it climate variability and change affects their agricultural production, and how is it that they can use the PICSA tools and guidelines to plan long before, just before, during and after the season, which will also aid in enhancing their or boosting their agricultural production. So they are very much grateful for the initiative.
Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa has been stressing the importance of farmers engaging in climate-smart agriculture as it is crucial to the continued viability of the sector.
What we have been doing over the last 2.5 years, we have been trying to get farmers to change the way they have been doing things. And you know for a fact His Excellency the President himself has been speaking about these issues. As a matter of fact, whilst we are now producing more, we have to change the method that we used to normally do it, how we used to use it in terms of the techniques and the general know-how that the farmers apply in cultivating these crops. Over the years, what we have seen, climate change is real now in this country and this part of the world. And whilst we used to get before 5 inches of rainfall in a whole month, we are getting 5 inches of rainfall just in an hour now. And that is why the government is expending large sum of money to make agriculture more modern, to ensure that we start climate smart agriculture so that we can control for the irrigation, we can control the sunlight, and we can control all the aspects in growing our crops. And that's the way to go. For example, we will be starting, and we already have seen many farmers now are turning to shade house. Many farmers are turning to hydroponics. These are things for the future. And whilst we have been doing these things over the years in a limited number, the Ministry of Agriculture now is encouraging farmers, trying to get input for them, get better prices for some farming implements and things like that. We are also delivering to farmers some of these input ourselves to helping them to start climate smart agriculture. And there are large areas. For example, I met this morning with a farmer from the highway. He's cultivating almost 11 shade houses, bell peppers and high value crops, and he's getting very good results. And that is why our extension officers are now, we have already started to train them, to give them better skills so that when they go out there, they are very important. They are the link between the ministry and the farmers to help them to start climate smart agriculture, help them to understand the best practices and things like that. That is why the Hydromet office, places like the Hydromet office now, we have expended large sum of money over the last 2.5 years to procure important equipment for the Hydromet services in our country. As a matter of fact, whilst I am speaking here, last Thursday at Cabinet, we have had the approval, the no objection, to procure Hydromet equipment to put around the country, almost 20 areas around the country, so that we can gauge the weather, we can have better advice for farmers, the farmers can know when we have heavy rainfalls and prepare for these things.
The tools available on the Hydromet website and information communicated to farmers across the country through the WhatsApp groups are the daily weather forecasts, 3-day forecasts, farmers' bulletins, monthly forecasts and seasonal calendar, as well as a drought monitoring bulletin. The Hydromet service remains committed to the provision of weather and climate information that aims to enable farmers in their critical pursuit of climate-smart agriculture in all of its innovative forms.
Well, that's all the time we have on this week's edition. A presentation of the Communications Unit, Ministry of Agriculture. I'm your producer and host, Christopher Holder. Until next time then, be good to yourselves and to each other.